Are we starting? All good?
Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hey, another week.
Another week.
Another week.
Another
Welcome to the usual every Saturday 5:30 Australian Real Estate News Weekly highlight. This is Peter.
I'm Guy.
Yeah, nice to see you again. And then it's been I think it's been a hot summer in terms of the weather and also in terms of the market as well.
Oh, okay. I was going to say we haven't started summer yet.
Oh well,
But
it looks
it's hot.
Yeah, it looks
been
like it's
warm.
gonna get hotter.
Yeah, it does.
It's gonna get hotter, and then everyone always talk about the Christmas this year because this is the first year of a Christmas that hardly anyone can get in and out. So
Oh, yeah.
so it'll be a very interesting Christmas to see how people is really gonna spend it. And then looks like the real estate market is start getting a lot of attractions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, as I said, it's hot and it's going to be hot till Christmas.
it's gonna be hot.
The
till
real
Christmas.
estate market.
Real estate market. Yeah, we
Weather
have,
as well.
yeah, we have a lot of owners recently contacting us about putting auction through and whether they can get a good price for their properties and all that. It looks like that confidence is happening again. And then one of my friend works in the eastern suburb said he's got a house at 8 mil, and then immediately within like 2 weeks he's got an offer at 8.2 and they just sold it. It wasn't even going through the full whole campaign and all that.
Yeah.
They just got the price point everybody wanted, and then just they just started selling it. So I think it'll be very interesting to see what it turns out to be the most unique year of a lifetime, and then see how the market is going to react. Yeah. So
Yeah, I think it's going to.
yeah, so last week we talked about a little bit more on the budget, and this week let's go back to some of the news. So today we are going to talk mainly more focused on the news section, other than the other part which we usually have. That will resume after a few weeks, but at the moment we'll focus on three aspects of seeing big sales.
Yeah.
What's happening this week.
Tons.
Yeah, big sales, apartments, houses, what records has been made. The second thing is obviously the first home buyers or for general market what it look like, and then last but not the least we'll have some general news.
And renting. We're going to
Yeah,
talk about
renting.
renting, aren't we?
Yeah, renting. Yeah. So no further ado, let's get things started. There we go. First one is the massive results take Wollstonecraft into the 10 million record books. Are you familiar with Wollstonecraft?
Yeah, I know it quite well. It's North Shore.
Yeah. So Wollstonecraft is not a very usual Asian suburb or real estate suburb because it's a very small station in Lower North Shore, and then in general it's a very low-rise area and there's not many stock. So the trading in that area is very limited. And then it's obviously surprising, and generally the houses there are very old. There's not many new houses
Yeah, they're traditional older houses.
Yeah.
A lot of them on large blocks. The apartments are mostly older,
Yep.
but it's very close to North Sydney. You can walk to North Sydney. Obviously, you've got stop on the train.
Yep.
You've got harbour views in a lot of places. Harbour views. So, but very popular, especially if you work in North Sydney. It's great.
Yeah. So this one is at number 3 Millray Avenue, Wollstonecraft. You can see it's a very old style house. It's got a tennis court. And it was sold in the hush deal, worth more than 10.5 million. All right, not bad. It was sold through the local Rewrite by Geoffrey and Bernard. So Mr. Smith, I think this is the owner maybe, said he could not reveal any details of the sale, which was finalized last week, other than to confirm it sold for more than, it was more than the guy that was Sydney-based buyer,
Right.
Sydney-based buyer. Yeah, so smashed the previous record. The last one that was sold, it was also on the same street. It was number 7. This one number 3, and the last one was sold in 2015 at 7.3 million. Yeah, so it looks like the market is keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, and this one, and another thing, Wollstonecraft doesn't really receive a lot of attention is because unlike the eastern suburb, we'll see a lot of houses with beautiful views, harbor and everything. Majority of the houses between Lower North Shore to Upper North Shore doesn't really have any view because it's just not, it's not that sort of pocket for the house with the massive view, but it does have a general sizes. You can see very solid. Internal has been renovated. Yeah, the kitchen is beautiful. I love
Yes,
the
lovely
white and
kitchen, isn't
blue.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The marble and the blue and the white and everything come together quite well. This year, the last record for Wollstonecraft was February this year, and the price point was 9.2 million. Yeah, the address was Nan Shelley Road. So 3-level home, good spot. You can see it's very flat. It's a very leveled house.
No, the houses, I would say the suburb isn't, but
Yeah. The house itself is very leveled as well. See?
yeah, I said the houses.
Yeah.
This is a good level block, but
Yeah.
Wollstonecraft as a whole isn't
Isn't the
all that level.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the apartment in Wollstonecraft does have a really beautiful view. This is number 4. So which is also on the same road. You can see. Yeah, 10 minutes train to the city. Crossnest Village and North Sydney are right at this reach. Yeah, I'll say it's a good house, But what's so exciting to see is finally, the trend has started moving. Like before, it always started with the eastern suburb, and then the records happened in the eastern suburb, and then now we can see it's already started spreading out to the other areas. Unfortunately, this is a very one of a kind thing. It's not a area where there's another house, another house, another house. This is pretty much it. But like we said, if you are getting priced out of the eastern suburb and you are looking for something that's really good value, Lower North Shore, Upper North Shore are actually a very good area to see. Yeah, to see. And I, just to have a little bit of a dare forecast, I reckon the next area we're gonna start to see a lot of boom, a lot of price increment will be the North Shore. It will be the North Shore.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Just have a look at a couple of the thing. It's not an everyone thing. Maybe some Chinese buyers probably wouldn't like that. But nonetheless, it's still a very good location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an excellent location.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So let's go to the next one. Okay, Point Pepper. Now we're back to the eastern suburb again. So Mia Freeman's Point Pepper renovation frenzy after 12.75 million trophy home purchases. So that's Mia Freeman. She is a media.
It's very well known in Australia.
Yeah. Neighbors of the 12.75 Point Pepper home recently snapped up by media identity. Mia Freeman and husband Jason reported consistent barrage of tradesmen arriving. They're building the place up. What's interesting is that property records now reveal the couple were the mystery buyer of the 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom home with double garage in Wheeler Road, which appeared as the careers house of the week on August 25th. Yeah. So people are spending money, and I think for the past few weeks, we have got a lot of people leaving comments and sending us messages saying, Pete, you always talk about all these big sales and they're all to the Chinese buyers, like for the past few weeks, whether it's auction, it has been a lot of Chinese buyers. So looks like, it's the Chinese buyers market, you're not talking about the general Australian local market. Talking about whatever you have presented is not broad enough. It's just really about a couple of rich people in China, putting money here and that's it. But looks like it's not just the Chinese buyers. It's actually the activity is actually spread out to the locals, to the people who wanted it, a good living, good houses.
Well, we were saying earlier on, it looks like $10 million is going to be the benchmark price
Yeah,
for a decent house in either the eastern suburbs or the lower North Shore.
So, $10 million is a new $5 million now.
That's right.
Yeah. And in the eastern suburb, even 10 mil
Doesn't get you a
wouldn't
lot.
really get you a very good deal anyway. There was a house I'm recently working on, and it's got a beautiful view. It's in Vaucluse, but the downside of it's got a 200-meter walk between the garage and the home. So when you park your car, you had to walk 200 meters into your house.
But it's all your own land.
It's all your own
You
land,
can
but
admire your estate.
imagine.
Every night you come home, you think, I don't know.
Oh God. Yeah. Well,
You'd be fit.
It'll be fit. Yeah, it will be fitter if you try to walk with the grocery bags and my son together.
You get long arms.
You imagine when you finish shopping, walking home with your bags of rice and your potatoes and all that, with your little son running around, in circles.
That's right. Yeah, well, that's why you get long arms.
Oh my God! And even that is sort of 5-6 million. Even that. So. Yeah, you can have a look at this one. Beautiful view. Really nice interior. Very open plan living. This is all. So this is what people are really looking at in this stage. So you can see, all these big homes with doors that can open all the way up, either connected to the pool or connected to outdoor area with a view in front of it. That's your money shot. That's how, in the future, if anyone trying to achieve a really good market prices, as an agent, we always give vendor the advices of doing a little bit of work to get the thing into the stage where it does have a wow factor.
Yeah.
And it's gonna help. I just spoke with the agent that helped me sell my house before, and then to another client. And before I sold my house, I've spent around $80,000 just in renovation, just to get it ready, fix things up, get things ready, having the room sort of really knocked down, and then make a big open plan, build a fireplace, polish the floor, everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's fairly typical, I think, once you get up to a certain stage.
That's right. And that's how you get a record price on the street as well. Of course, by picking obviously the right agent to do it too.
Right, agent, getting it all nicely furnished.
Yep.
But I think it's the flow factor, isn't it? I mean, that's what people want. They want a composition and just be able to easy access to the views from various parts of the house, basically.
Yep. There we go. Let's have a look. More areas, more living areas, home, master
See,
bedroom.
that's nice. Just the fact you got that frame picture at the end,
Yeah,
the view
that's
at
right.
the end.
That's
I
right,
suppose it's
postcard.
called a picture.
Yeah, it's a postcard. Yeah, so despite not being a waterfront, there's a lot of love about the home. See? Let's keep going. Another one. Yeah, this is the one. The surgeon, profession, and his wife Gail, biodiversity planner, Phil Halcombe's house. So let's have a look.
So this is the guy who just sold the house to Mia Freeman.
Yeah, that's right.
Bought this other one.
That's right. Yeah. So it looks like people are swapping homes in the eastern suburbs, like swapping from here to there to here. Yeah. So it is
It's not an apartment, is it? It's a house.
Yeah. So in the locals' eyes, I mean, owning a home is still a very, very important thing. I have got this assumption that a lot of the Australians doesn't really buy, they just rent. But I don't think that's true at all. In overseas eyes, they say, oh, you know what, we're the only one that's purchasing the homes and no one else is buying. And then the reason why we do this newly article, weekly highlighted every week, it's just because we wanted to present you what is the real information. So there's no presumptions, there's no assumptions, there's no assuming a certain thing. It's just a real thing that's really happening. So.
But I mean, recently the trend has been going down. I mean, overall, less Australians now own their own home than 20 years ago. So it sort of went up, crept up to about, I think, mid 80s. Next week I'll do some investigation on that. But I think it was about the mid 80s, and then it's been drifting down since then. Maybe 2001. There's a good reason for that, but I'll do some investigation. But certainly it's starting, I think, to come back a bit now.
Yeah.
But that's really because property's got so expensive for the average person.
That's right. That's right. But later on, when we go into the actual first home buyer thing, we actually had a new statistic came out, and it looks like we had a history high, first home buyer activities now in the market with all the incentives thrown in. Obviously, it's not going to be all these $10 million houses. It's not going to be these big ones. It's going to be something a lot more affordable, but the benchmark is already there.
Yeah, well, the good thing is it's people getting on the housing ladder.
That's right.
And then hopefully they'll progress upwards, and that's always been what people try and do. If you want to get a lot of people buying their home, they've all got to start somewhere, and the quicker they get on the ladder with house prices continuously going up, then the better.
Yeah, exactly. And also another thing is that it's about the price point where the first home buyer is kept in as well. It will be talked about in the later section, but the government does redefine the gap of what incentive you can get being the upper limit of a first home, and then that's being increased from 750 to 950, which allows the people to look at more options. So that's
and more suburbs.
More
basically.
suburbs. Yeah. But let's finish this one. So this one is a beautiful home, and see the magic number, about 10 mil. 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom home with the view on the New Sunset Road in Rose Bay for 10 million. And even that, the owner says, I wasn't really gonna let it go. I wasn't ready to let it go.
Well, I think that was the guy who said he knocked back an offer of 14 million.
That's right. Yeah,
last
he said
year.
he's not backing an offer for 4 years ago. But anyway, which is 2 days after they sold the $12.75 million home to the Friedman. Just in the last article. So through Paul Rich of Rich's Double Bay, it was more than double the 6.1 million they paid 7 years before. Even though have done renovation. So house prices, even though as high as it is, it does follow the general 7-10 years rule, still. And if you do a good renovation, it'll get you there faster. If you're not, then, in the long run, it will eventually get there anyway. So like what they originally purchased for 6.1, now 12.75 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, basically house prices in Sydney double every 10 years.
That's right. Yeah. So they swapped something closer to the harbour and had a stunning harbour views. Interesting. And across Sydney, we started to have a lot of beautiful homes, designer places are being released now. So there's a beautiful place in Darlinghurst with a really nice sort of mini home. This is like an in-house water feature with beautiful glass looking out into a sort of half internal, half external garden and all that. So it's got a beautiful interior. So it looks like what I really like about the recent activities, not only the prices are going up, but also the taste and the style are starting matching more towards the international standard. Where before, Australian homes are beautiful. I like how it's streamlined, simple, it's classy, but it does lose a little bit of a twist in the taste, and now, looks like all that is coming back as well. People start to understanding how, living is, and then especially after COVID, where people spending a lot more time at home, it gives them the sense of urgency, or give them the sense, to actually put this on the book, to start getting a beautiful interior design done, and spending more money to make it more comfortable living. So I think it redefined, the living experiences, the levels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a couple of beautiful homes going to be on the market. So like we said, this Christmas is going to be very interesting. There's a lot of beautiful houses, apartments are being listed on the market for sale. Whether you are a potential purchaser that's looking to purchase, or you are just understanding the market, or you simply just want to borrow some good ideas about how to make your home more comfortable. This Christmas, I reckon before this Christmas, couple of home tours would benefit nonetheless.
Yeah.
So finish that up, going into the city market. First home buyers deposit scheme to open up for more suburbs for first home buyers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is something that we just talk about, but we want to recap it again. So last week we have briefly touched on this one with the new budget release. But this week, first home buyer is a very important factor for a country, I would say. For more people to own their homes, more people to actually live in the places they own. That's very important. And if it's more people that actually owning their homes, it's a healthy thing. A healthy thing. Yeah. So while 2020 has been a chaotic year of most Australians, it has been one of the best years in living memories to be the market for first home. So many people that jump into the market. I have friends who's doing he's a developer of house land, so he owns a lot of big chunk of land in Sydney, and he said before COVID, his whole operation is very quiet or very normal, But as soon the COVID hits and the government started putting all these incentives in and all that, he started to sell like crazy. So the land, especially for the smaller land, like 400 square meter land, he's selling two of them every day. So he sells 10, 15, chunks of land on a daily basis. So that's how. And thank you for all these incentives. People are taking advantage of it. We've been talking about the incentives and what they are for a few weeks, and now we can see that these actions has already been taken in these areas. So you can see, with plenty of first home buyers in the market, last week's federal budget aims to entice more to build their home to support the construction sector during the COVID-19 recession through 5% deposits. Yeah, so just to recap, if you're a first home buyer, having Australian permanent resident, you never bought any home before, if you buy this as an owner-occupied home for at least 6 months, then you are qualified into a first home buyer, But on the basis that your husband hasn't bought anything before, your wife hasn't bought anything before. So it's not based on per person, it's based on per family.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I did have the experience where, before the husband and wife gets married, they come in and each buy a property to utilize, the first home buyer scheme. I've seen that in off the plan market a lot, especially for, the Chinese or the Asian kids, because they get in general a lot more support from the parents.
Right.
So each parent pays for one of their each home, and then, to take advantage of, the first home buyer scheme. Yeah.
But I mean, what it means is, as I said to you last week, the 750 cutoff just ruled out a lot of properties. Well, there's certain suburbs in the eastern suburbs, right down as far as places like Randwick, I would assume, and certainly right up on the North Shore, on the northern beaches, where you just couldn't buy it.
Couldn't buy
property. So basically, if those kids want to take advantage of the whole of the incentive, they had to move west. Whereas now, hopefully, they can buy the entire property and get an entire stamp duty,
Yeah.
whatever it is, incentive.
Or further north, like
Yeah.
Golden, Pimble,
Yeah.
Kilara,
Yeah.
you know, Hornsby, further north. You know, but at the end of the day, I'm just saying your first home, in general, is not going to be your last home.
No, but I mean, I think
no.
it's wrong that people get forced to move somewhere they don't really want to live. If all their friends and their roots and maybe even their job is back where they were.
Yep.
You know, if we want them to be able to buy their own homes, then they should be able to buy them where they are. I think I'm happy with the cut-off. You know, I don't think they should get a cut-off. I don't think they should get incentives to buy $2 million homes, for instance. But, but it's just a bit silly when you couldn't. Very often in the old days, before they started playing the graduated thing, if you didn't, you know, if you had a house which was too much, you just weren't allowed to buy it.
Yeah.
You know, now they've brought it down. You just get partial
Yeah.
stamp duty relief, or
Yeah.
whatever it may be.
Yeah, but it's also related back to the income level as well. You know, like if you're just, you know, a newcomer and you just started your job for a very few years, I mean, it really depends on whether you can afford. You know, if you can buy a $2-3 million house. Even the government say, you know what, I'm going to classify into a first home, but whether how many people actually can afford it, you know, in terms of the mortgages and everything. You know, I started it. So when I first came to Australia, I came to Australia as a dishwasher. You know, so I was doing my laundry school and I washed dishes after school, getting very little money. And then at the time, the places that I can buy, well, I can't even buy anything. I can just afford a cheap rent by share accommodation with a few friends. I guess it's a good thing that, you know, you had to go through that stages to get to where you are, you know? Yeah, so you had to, you know, so I started with share accommodation, and then, you know, living further away, like Parramatta, you know, all that area, catching buses, swap to trains, you know, to go to work, so I can save some money on the rents and all that. And then, you know, later I'll move into buying my first home in the CBD of French, like a really old apartment, 2-bed, 1 bath.
Yep.
Yeah, very old, very, you know, it's just around sort of 300,000-400,000, you know, my first home. And then moving forward to, you know, North Shore, Upper North Shore, Lower North Shore, and then eventually ended up in Waterfront. You know, I guess you just had to go through that. And it's given me a sense of goal as well. Like if I begin at Eastern Suburb, Vaucluse, or Double Bay, what's my next? Where's the,
Yeah.
you know, where's my target?
I wasn't
where's my
thinking
goal?
exactly Double Bay when I was saying that comment. I mean, it's more,
Yeah.
you know, there's lots of places in the eastern suburbs where, you know, you get house prices much lower.
Yeah.
And it's just that people being forced out of where they historically have always wanted to live, where all their friends are, where their parents and etc. That's all.
Yep. So, you know, going back to the first home, sorry, we just deviated a little bit further, India. So going back to the first home, we were announced there's going to be 10,000 more places available until June 30th for first home,
The 5%.
you know, 5%.
Yeah.
And then the scheme allowed the buyer to purchase a new home with a 5% deposit, with the Commonwealth covering the mortgage insurance, normally payable with lower deposit loans. The new places coincided with the purchase price threshold increasing from 750 to 950 in Sydney. So 950, you can get, you know, a comfortable 2-bedroom, you know, apartment, easy.
Oh, you can. Yeah, I mean, exactly that.
Yeah. And then even some areas like we had some listings in Meadowbank, you know, waterfront, and then the 2 bedrooms, brand new, with a bit of a water view, not directly looking at the water, but you can actually see water on the sideways. You get them for around 750 to about 800. You know, so that's and I think it's a very good. It's got a train, it's got a ferry, it's got everything. It's a good place to start. It's not that far from the city.
No.
You know, yeah. So I think around 950 rand is really reasonable. It is in line with the Sydney prices. You know.
Yeah, I've got no problems with that.
Yeah. So it's a sensible move, and will give first home buyers a great choice where they can live instead of out and ring suburbs that most were limited to the first round. That exactly solves your concerns that we just mentioned before. Yeah, if you took the first home buyers out, there will be no other group driving market activity.
Well, the first-time home buyers always drive the market.
That's right. That's right. Or that end of the market, not
Yeah,
not the one close.
No.
Yeah.
But I mean, it just goes through ripples. It starts with that, then it goes all the way up.
That's right. Yeah. There's a lot of places. The threshold benefit, markets in Western Sydney and the Central Coast is best affordable in Greater Sydney. Researchers House's report shows that the regions are not only priced under 950,000 threshold, but have also seen the most new houses approval since January. So like I said, my friends' house land business are just really booming. They can get some really decent houses, brand new 5-bedroom, with the new West Connect, with all the highways being built, and recently the metro, the metro started operating all the way to Tallawong. I think things are getting, better and better. I really think Australians are very keen on making their houses affordable. I come from, I live in Shanghai and I lived in Hong Kong as well. I mean, if you think about the average income compared to the apartment prices, it just, it's not it's not the same thing. It's not the same.
It's got to be sustainable at the end of the day.
It's not the same thing. Central Coast is only about $670,000 median prices. And with a lot of new approvals. I really think with everything the government doing, after a few months or after 6 months, you'll start to see, the market activities. You see what it becomes. So this handsome Indian fellow, Mr. I don't think the B pronounced here, right? Is it Bama? Bama is one of the 20,000 Australians who have accessed the first home loan deposit scheme since the start of 2020, along with the use of the first home owner grant, allow him to buy well ahead of schedule. So let's just revisit to have a look. First home buyer accessing deposit scheme could also be eligible for other incentives offered by the New South Wales government. New homes are stamp duty exempt is valued under 800,000, while concessions applied if worth up to 1 million. So you get a concession between 800,000 to 1 million. The first home owner grant of $10,000 could also be accessed if a new home is worth under 750. So if you buy an apartment under 750, you're gonna save 4% stamp duty, roughly 4% stamp duty on the purchase price already. So that means less money to be paid upfront, plus a $10,000 contribute to your purchase. I think this one is on settlement. So it's not a bad deal. Plus 5% deposit, which means you only need to have a cash flow for roughly about $40,000 to be able to make it work. Because you pay 5% of 750, if the valuation price sticks, 750, and then that's about $35,500. So that's your 5%, plus you're getting $10,000 back from the government. So really, realistically, you're not paying stamp duty neither. With the legal fees, you're probably looking at about $30,000 to get yourself a home that you can own. And with the recent interest rate, it'll be interesting just to put it on a little bit study. Let's see, 750 times. So you literally borrow from the bank roughly about $70,000. So $70,000 and $70,000 with the current interest rate, which is about 2.69%.
You borrow how much?
You can borrow 95%, isn't it?
Yeah.
5% deposit scheme, right? So you borrow 95%, that'll give you roughly around $70,000. So $70,000 times 2.59%, your repayment each year is about $18,000.
Right.
right?
Okay.
So $18,000 a year divided by 52, that means on average you're paying about $346 per week to own a home in Sydney. Or that's on interest. Of
Yeah,
course, you
on
may have
interest,
your,
yeah.
it's
You've got to
you know
repay
you
your
have principal as
capital,
well.
principal.
Your capital, but still very affordable, very affordable. Very affordable.
But eventually, I mean, all these incentives, they're all very good, but they all flow through to the land value eventually.
Yep.
Prices go up.
That's right.
It's really just an incentive for the developer. But
That's right.
look, they're keen on it. It's attracting people in, gets people worked up, and they've got to go and buy. And it's actually stimulating what they want to do, which is to get people to go and buy. And then that goes through to the construction industry, which is what the whole thing's about, really.
What the
They're
whole
just trying to get the economy moving.
Economy moving, and it's one of the easier things for the government to do.
Yeah.
To reinvent travel and education, it takes a lot more. It takes a lot more. But this is easy. Next one, first home buyers again, and tenants again commanding position in housing market. There we go. So renters and first home buyers have been calling the shots in Sydney housing market as investors release their stranglehold on prices. You just mentioned this a little bit earlier. About owners putting more properties into the market.
Well, the investors a lot of investors are now getting out. They're finding that they're not getting the returns they thought they would.
No.
Should we put it that way? And the first home house buyers have moved in to take up the slack, which is good. And I think the other thing is, with the other thing we're going to talk about in a minute is about the renters. So what it means is that basically rents have taken a dive, certainly in some suburbs, and basically a lot of the listings now are investors who are listing their units, basically mostly units, and the first-time home buyers in a lot of suburbs are taking them up, which is great.
Which is great. Yeah. I had quite a few calls from different purchasers, different friends of mine, different past purchasers, about consolidating their investments. So like this friend of mine who recently purchased the $8 million house in the eastern suburb, house in the eastern suburb. She had many investments spread out to Lower North Shore, CBD, all that area. And now what she wanted to do, and she's not this is not a singularity event. I've actually got this inquiry from different buyers as well. They are trying to reduce the number of apartments they're owning and selling a lot of the investments because the rent and everything, and then consolidating them into one big house for the whole family to live in. So that's why you see there's a lot of activities happening in the area from the people who never lived in the eastern suburb who want to move in, because now they have started to sell off a lot of the investment, cash out, put it into one big one, and then really renovate it, get it done in the way they wanted it, get it done the family wants to live it, and then just get it going. So that will give the opportunity for a lot of people in the market who are looking for non-greedy vendors product, because the aim for a lot of these vendors are not really to make a significant amount of money, but to actually cash out so they can put the money into their
it's a big new family home,
whether it's an offset account or just paid it off. So we have seen a lot of vendors being very reasonable, with the pricing they're asking for. Even though a lot of vendors start to proposing to go through auction, and I get it because we see a lot of crazy auction results recently. Going through auction to find out whether they can reach that dream prices. But anyway, they are very sensible in terms of what they're asking. Very sensible. And that gives the opportunity for the buyers in this market to get something at a very reasonable prices. However, I'm not sure how long it's gonna happen because in the last run, you were there as well. In the last run, the prices when they start from the east started rising, and they sort of spreading out to the lower north shore of the city and the city fringe area, and the prices start to rise. So I'm not sure, how long in the market the buyer can still get a bargain. This could easily become old news very soon.
Yeah, I think it will.
Yeah,
So I said it. Traditionally, all these incentives they just go straight to the bottom line,
that's right.
and the house prices rise up.
Yep.
And the incentive, at the end of the day.
Yeah, but anyway, the good thing is first home buyer spending shorts to an 11-year high in August, with housing experts reviewing first timers feeling the void left by the investors struggling to get loans from new purchases. Investors once accounted to close 60% of all New South Wales property purchases, according to ABS research, and historically competent for the same properties as the first home buyers. Yeah, so investors out, first home buyers in.
Yeah.
Renters benefit from the recent spikes to first home buyers spending as tenants departing rental to move into their first home, driven up by vacancies that help moderate rents. Yeah, well, we just done a calculation. If you're looking at a waterfront 2x2 bars, brand new in Meadowbank, your price point will be somewhere around $750 to about $800. Which you're paying $346 roughly interest per week.
Yeah.
And then adding the principal into it, it will be very similar to the rent you're paying. So if you have Australian residency and you never bought a home before, take advantage of the 5% scheme, because you only need $30,000 to get into a market to own your own home, and paying $346 per week to own your waterfront home brand new. In a very
good.
In a good suburb. I'm not saying it's not even a crappy suburb. It's actually a very good suburb. Yeah, so you can have your morning run. We, our salespeople doing opens. I've been there a couple of times. It's got a beautiful sort of waterfront runway.
Yeah.
In the morning, people just, take their kids out jogging, or, just take a walk. It's beautiful, and it's not the only area in Sydney that you can get this. Some areas you get even cheaper prices. Like there's a project recently in Epping that was on the market for sale. 2x2 bars, north facing, with no interruption in the view, looking at about 730. 2-year-old building. So there's a lot of opportunities out there. But these opportunities will get taken up and gone.
Yeah.
They're doing, as I was told, roughly about 20 to 30 group inspections every time. So it's, so it looks like people are really trying to, get into the market. And that's in the, western area, which we just mentioned before. Yeah. So let's have a look. Tenants already in. Tenants has been this year. I really think the biggest winner is the tenants. The tenants are really paying a lot less rent. But on the other hand, this won't sustain. This won't go on forever. Once the border will open eventually. Yeah. So Australia will eventually start to get more travelers, students, and migrants.
Yeah.
And then the rent, being so little apartments, so little buildings are actually going to be built in the next few years, because the construction boom has already finished.
Yeah.
So, the rental will come up, and if you haven't really positioned yourself into buying and saving up for that deposit, then by the time when the border is open, all the renters will be the one that's they will become from the biggest winner to the biggest loser, unfortunately. Yeah.
Oh, look, rents will go up once we get open borders again. Immigration will come back again. Lots of students will come back. Maybe not as many as before, but certainly quite a few.
Yeah.
And the rental market will take off again.
Yeah.
And then that means that people will start looking, the investors will come back in the market, which will underpin the house prices. So I would agree, if you want to get in as a new starter, first-time home buyer, now is probably a good time.
Yep, yep, yeah. So this is the couple that ran it in a new way. That developers bringing out home to lease. So we're moving on to here, same, the famous couple of week, appeared in multiple articles. So build to rent apartments become available with no need for bond, bills paid, or other perks. Yeah, we were talking about this a little bit earlier. There's actually a lot of developers doing build to rent in the States.
Oh, build to rent in the
Yeah.
States is huge market.
Huge.
Always has been.
Yeah, even in China, we actually have, especially in the tier one cities like Shanghai, Beijing, build to rent are becoming such a big thing now. And then the build to rent apartments start to have a really community feel to it. So you start to get a lot more activities happening. You have the common area for people to roaming around, meet up, talk. There's cooking class, yoga class. The kitchen facility in these things are becoming simpler and simpler. And then they all have common kitchen.
Yep.
So they start to, the build to rent market in all these tier one cities has already been to the next level. And I'm just so happy to see that Sydney is finally starting to get this.
Oh, it's Australia.
Yeah, Australia. Yeah.
You guys, or the Chinese market probably don't understand this, but there used to be a program called Melrose Place,
Okay.
which was, I think, in the 80s and 90s, certainly. And that was about, basically, it was all the community who lived in a build-to-rent scheme in California.
Okay.
I think it's California. I never used to watch it. Soap stuff. But basically, it was build-to-rent. So it was just a big development with pool, all the other common facilities, etc. And it's something that is massive. There are companies in America which own 40, 100,000 units throughout America, which are all in their schemes and rent.
Yeah.
So it's an accepted way of doing it. And at last, the UK has had it over the last 5 years, say, and now Australia's at last played around with some of the rules, as I understand it, makes it more viable, and that's what's going to happen here. So all the big developers are moving in on it. I mean, the only other person who did it was Triggerboff,
Yeah. Yep.
where basically, if he couldn't sell a unit, then he'd rent it. So until he could, but he built up a big rent roll.
Yeah.
Good on him.
But the way Meriton operates, they actually kept the good location to rent first. Meriton owns a very large, build-to-rent properties in a project in Chatswood, and it's one of the better locations in Chatswood as well. And then, he could have easily sold it, but today, I think he still own all the apartments. Yeah. So it will be actually, what he does is he holds off on selling a lot of the good suburbs, and then sell the properties in some of the suburbs that he doesn't see a long-term sort of stable price rise. Well, that's at least the way I see it from an outsider.
Okay.
That's how I felt. Meriton service apartment, if like in the city, they have
that's service apartments.
yeah. So once those things are ready to sell, then it will be a big thing. He has done it pretty successfully for a project they had in Ultimo back a couple of years ago. So it was always for rent. It was always for rent until one day it became a very popular project. All the agents start to go in, and I say, "Oh, what's going on?" Because I used to live just across the road. So I say, "Oh, okay, they renovated the whole place, completely rebuilt the whole thing, and then put it on the market." Yeah. So
I think it's going to be very, very popular. Movat doing it. As I said, my niece's husband's come over from the States just to set up a company which does build to rent. And the institutions are all pouring money into this sector. So, at the end of the day, it'll be very, very popular. And it'll actually eat the lunch of in my view, the traditional apartment investor. Because basically, the institutions, etc., will do it so much better than the standard real estate agent
That's
and the
right.
standard investor.
Yeah, that's right. Because it's all managed in one portal, and
Yeah,
you know,
I saw some in the States when I was out there. There's a guy I did a big deal, well, a fairly big deal over here, which was the Channel 10 building down
Yep.
on Piedmont.
Yep.
Chris Waggett, he was pretty senior. In fact, he was actually appointed, as I understand it, to run Lend Lease over in the States, and then of course straight into 2007. When, but he's been developing down in Colorado, exactly built to rent. And I went and saw a couple of the buildings there, and it's like a cross between a hotel, as I describe it, a cross between a hotel and an apartment block. Basically, it's an apartment block with a whole load of common facilities where people can mix, meet, get to know their neighbours, etc. Obviously, attracting primarily the younger market,
Yeah. Yep.
or his work.
Yep.
Typically in a city or near a railway station or something where they can move and get into the city. So, good.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously, the aim for the apartment is to be used only as tenant accommodation and for tenants living there long term.
Yeah.
Developer essentially becomes the property manager rather than selling off the individual
Yeah, that's
units.
right. And
Yeah.
you'll find an institution probably try and buy it.
Yep. Yep.
I mean, the government have done some incentives. I mean, certainly in New South Wales, the government have given them an incentive via the land tax to do it.
Yep.
So
Oh yeah.
it's something they want.
you-
You know, again, they want to keep the construction industry going, so they do whatever they've got to do to keep it going.
Yeah, and more streamlined rental process as well. No bond was required for the unit, and simply just had to prove they have a regular income. You know, and then and it's going really fast as well. So since September, there's already 85 tenants has moved in.
Oh, that's just on this one project, yeah.
Yeah, just on this one project. So you know, a lot of people saying Olympic Park is that area, but looks like it's not. You know, and we're not really resuming all the big functions events yet. If we are resuming all these things with areas like Olympic Park, which generally attracts about over 200 major events every year, I don't think the rent will be, you know, a hard thing to accomplish.
Yeah, but there's a lot of apartments in Olympic Park
Yeah.
which have got nothing to do with the events. So
Yeah,
it's
just for people to live in.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I've done a few in the past.
All right, coming back to this one, also just to add on notes that we are actually listing a couple of entire block buildings in the Olympic Park area to sell. So if anyone's interested in purchasing a whole individual block of building, to keep as a build to rent property or anything like that, you can contact us, and we're happy to show you through. Yeah. Coming to another one, I should have put this on the front. Sutherland Shire Grandmother's $4.96 million Bondi Beach auction windfall. Another thing, really average houses, but Bondi Beach is a very good area.
Yeah.
So like we said, this is like a average house, but in a good suburb, in a good address. It was built in the 1920s. Yeah, it was built in the 1920s. And then it was bought for 1,800 pounds.
That's right.
Yeah, in 1948, 72 years ago. Oh my God. Yeah, bizarrely, the couple who were in their 50s at the time had loved it so much, they bid 2,000 pounds for the 4-bedroom home, but the price was reduced by 200 pounds because of a post-World War II regulation that limited the cost of homes.
Right.
Oh well. Interesting. Yeah. There are no such price limitation these days, and the current vendor own 8 grandchildren stand to benefit within the extraordinary and the hammer sale of the original bungalow, a rental property for decades, close to Australia's most famous beach. So, that's the inside of the house. Well. I remember you comment on these little things. on this, it doesn't even have a ranch food. Yeah. Some of the Chinese cookings will go crazy. My nanny saw this, she'll go crazy. She said, "Oh, there's no ranch oven, I can't cook."
Just open up the back door.
Oh my God. Yeah, it depends on what she's gonna cook that day. Yeah. Try to walk into a Chinese restaurant without ranch food and see if you can sustain the smoke and the deep fry. Yeah, bid opened at 4 million and rose quickly in 100,000 and then 50,000 increments. The original, a man in the 50s loved the semi in a near street, made the opening bid, and in the end he came out on the top after bidding duel with the developer from the North Shore who wants to knock it down, the old house, and build a duplex like the one next door. Oh, okay. So there's a developer potential in this one as well. The buyer is planning to keep the property pretty much as it is, living in one of the residences and renting the other one out. Wow. Spent almost $5 million to live in one room and renting the other room out. Okay. I wonder how much he's going to charge you for the other room. Yep. So, we started taking and got figures that said it would go higher price if we had to put it to auction. Originally, the price guide was going to be 4.2 million, and thought if we got 4.4 million, that would be interesting. Yeah, looks like they got something really interesting. Yeah, and the bid will just keep going, and the reserve is actually 4.6.
Yeah.
So it goes to 4.96. It's a very good result. It's a very good result for the owner.
The vendor, yeah.
Other results: Rose Bay, 4.5 million, $50,000 above reserve. Another one in Rose Bay, 2.432, which is at the reserve, and then another one in North Bondi, 4.42 at reserve. So it looks like, in a little bit of a Bondi pocket, the 5 million is the price. 4-5 million is the price. In the Double Bay Vaucluse domain, the 10 million is the is the thing. All right, interesting. Last one for this week: the pet ownership ruling points to improve lifestyle for strata residences. I am amazed about how much legal fees they have spent to
Trying to get this through.
get this right, to keep this little puppy Angus. Is it?
He's not a puppy anymore.
Yeah, he's not a puppy anymore. So Angus the Porsche, who was at the center of the Horizon case. So there's a very interesting case. Homeowner have bought and lived in a low-rise apartment in a 43-story apartment building.
Called Horizons.
Horizon.
Very famous block signed by.
Yeah, and paid 1.4 million in 2015. And the bylaws of the Horizon Strata scheme have always stated since the 1998 completion that an owner or occupier of a lot must not keep or permit any animal to be on the lots or on the common property.
That's right.
Yeah. So a couple who paid $1.4 million, to buy the property in order to keep the dog, have eventually spent
500 grand.
a legal bill of $500,000. So bought a property for 1.4 million, brought dog in, spent $500,000 to keep the dog in the in the home, and I think the end result, stretching over 5 years legal battle, over a 13-year-old dog, has finally ended, and then they have won, have they? Yeah, they have won.
Yeah, they won.
They won. Yeah, they won.
But, we'll have to see where the strata body go next.
Yeah, that's right.
They'll probably just say that you can have pets, but it's got to be a goldfish.
Poor Angus.
So, but the Elan, which is another high-rise apartment building just across the road at King's Cross.
Yeah, Elaine.
That's
Postpoint.
got the same issue. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a big issue in a lot of strata blocks. Interesting. Yeah. I don't know how it affects renters in houses, to be honest.
The house doesn't have the rule. You can always have a pet, or except for the agent, right?
Yeah, well, the agent or the owner.
Or the owner. Yeah.
The reality is, this is now what does a tenant do?
Yeah. Yeah.
But certainly in the blocks. I mean, again, I suppose if you're leasing, somebody may be able to do, the landlord may be able to turn around and say, well, I don't want pets. Doesn't matter what the strata says.
That's
I
right.
don't want pets.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
I don't know where that'll go. But the Court of Appeal, this went up to the Court of Appeal, and the 3 judges unanimously said that they should be able to keep pets.
Pets.
And obviously they were talking about a dog in this case. It's all about
Yeah, it's all about
Angus.
that. Yeah, Angus.
All about Angus.
It's all about Angus.
So
Yeah. But coming back to that, Australian property, especially some of the new ones I'm working on, has been pet friendly to begin with. I've seen a lot of strata are very relaxed on the pet rule, saying you could have it, but limit to its number and the sizes.
yeah, how do you go with the size of the dog? I mean, it's just,
Yeah. Well, it's just that, if you have, let's say if you live in 1 bedroom and you have 3 German Shepherds.
I understand that.
Yeah, and you can't have a sheep or horse or goat, and I think something makes sense, something makes sense. Yeah, but if you have, a bowl of water with a couple of goldfish in it, I just don't see how it's going to become a big problem.
I don't see how anyone's going to know.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Yeah, but Australia have always been interesting. So, I don't know it's a good thing or bad thing. This thing goes into legal battles, and money, $500,000 was spent over this particular issue, and 3 judges were involved. 5 years' time has been.
Yeah, look, I mean, there's pros and cons.
Yeah.
Some people feel scared of animals, so if you've got to get in a lift with a dog, especially if it's a big dog, they can be scared.
Okay.
But you can also see if you've got a pet which yaps all day, when the owners go out to work, say, and you live next door, and all you can hear is.
That's right.
I mean, that's not fair on.
That's not fair on the other residents.
Other residents either, is it? So it's a very hard one.
Yeah. So
I shall buy out of that one. Nothing to.
So wrap up for this week. We've got record prices. Wollstonecraft Lower North Shore has now in the $10 million club.
Yeah.
Officially, and then Eastern Suburbs, the 10 million is the new 5 million.
That's right. In the good areas.
Yeah, in the good areas. Auction prices are
better areas, more expensive areas.
More expensive areas. And then auction prices through the roof. First home buyer activity has been the strongest, since 11 years high. It's 11 years high, in August. And then it looks like more people are going to jump into the market, with, if you're spending, the right amount of, $30,000 for a lot of local Australia, I think it's very achievable amount of savings, and then, if you are trying to take advantage of the rent at the moment, our advice to you is don't, because that will end, but to buy your own house, whatever prices you purchased on the contract will be the prices you pay. The prices will not move after you purchase the property. So, the cost will not increase after you purchase the property or based on the interest rate and all that. But, obviously it's still a very good timing, good idea to get in the market, taking advantage of all the incentives.
Yeah, at the moment.
Yeah. And then, if you own a pet, just try to seek for a pet-friendly home. And try not to.
Mask.
That's right.
for the pet.
For the pet.
Keep it quiet.
All right, cool. All right, 5:30 every Saturday. I'm looking forward to see you for the next week, and we'll be here. We'll go through the news with you, and we'll bring you to what is on the front line. And this is Peter.
And Gary.
Cheers. We'll see you next week, 5:30 Saturday.
Okay.
Okay.